We'll open this video up with a Twitter thread, because yesterday there was a very particular thing that I got tagged in that I wanted to showcase here on the channel. Just kinda, half pride reasons and half funny reasons. We had ourselves a tweet made by the mayor of Wokeville. Very, satirically looking name there, but there was a tweet made by this user last night saying, now, there have been some real bad trades in the NHL. But that Elias Lindholm trade for the Canucks has gotta be right up there. Are You the Goat then replies saying, hey, tell that to LegoRocks99. And then this user replies saying, nah, there are just some things that aren't worth the effort. And I wanted to open this video up with that because, it was one thing to think about the Elias Lindholm and Andrei Kuzmenko trade back when it was made. It's another thing to think about it now. Because contextually speaking, for what these players were at the time of the trade, I think it was an appropriate move. I think that the assets that the Canucks gave up for Elias Lindholm were not that bad. Like, if you think about Andrei Kuzmenko and how badly he was playing for the Canucks, when you think about the prospects, who may or may not have been able to have a future with the Canucks, and the first-round pick, which was, kind of the standard there, it made sense, right? At the time, it made sense, and you can say that the Canucks overpaid, but I think a lot of fans in this market were just like, okay, well, Kuzi was a cap dump because next year he's got $5.5 million, Elias Lindholm is gonna bring a different element to this team that they needed. But wow, have we been wrong about that so far? It's been so bad, and Andrei Kuzmenko is the reason we are making this video today, because yesterday he had scored himself his second NHL hat trick. Yeah, remember the first one that he had scored? 2022, I believe it was, against the Anaheim Ducks, where he had scored all the goals in the third period? Those were the days, man! EP40 and Andrei Kuzmenko were such an insane duo together, and we saw none of that during the Rick Tocchet stint in 23-24. And Kuzmenko was in the doghouse, and he wasn't effective, and he wasn't good, and there were chances for him to rebound, and he didn't take advantage of them. And so the team had no choice. In a year where you could debate they were going all in, they ended up trading him away for a guy in Lindholm who didn't even play for a good chunk because he wasn't really healthy. And when he did play, he wasn't good. Now, Andrei Kuzmenko gets his second NHL hat trick yesterday, and if you go over to the numbers over here, oh man, this is crazy. So Andrei Kuzmenko, in his last 5 games played, has 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 total points. In his last 10 games, he's got 8 goals, 6 assists for 14 total points. If you go through his game log, there was a stint from Thursday, March 28th, up until Tuesday, April the 9th, where Andrei Kuzmenko legitimately had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 points in 6 games played. He had 0 points against the LA Kings in the next game, and then the hat trick against the Anaheim Ducks. Andrei Kuzmenko came alive the past few weeks here, and it really seems to be just a matter of confidence and him being able to execute on the plays that he wants to make. Because Andrei Kuzmenko always had this shiftiness, this sort of elusiveness. When he'd hold on to the puck, he wasn't afraid to hold on to it for a split second long in order to open up a different angle or to get the best shot opportunity. But when he's not in his element, when he's not feeling it, he holds on for way too long. He ends up making really bad decisions, and he ends up letting plays die on his stick because he's a little bit indecisive. Okay, when he holds onto it for too long of an extra second, that's when the play comes and dies. And a lot of Canucks fans were noting on how this would affect the play with the Canucks earlier on in the season, where Kuzmenko did not have the same bite, he did not have the same swagger, he was under scrutiny from Rick Tocchet because he wasn't playing well defensively, yada yada yada, you've heard the story before. And so trading Kuzmenko at that time was seemingly the right move, right? It was a good thing for the Vancouver Canucks on paper to bolster up their lineup by getting that defensively minded right-handed guy who could also produce some offense like Elias Lindholm in exchange for Kuzmenko, and they had to pay a price to do it. It's just now, in hindsight, oh boy, this trade looks terrible. You go over to the points, Elias Lindholm has not really done much. I mean, And now you're seeing the conversations be brought up. Here's Grady on Twitter that made a really interesting point here. Andrei Kuzmenko is up to 21 goals after the hat trick tonight. His team may be out of it playing garbage time hockey, but the former Canucks winger is up to 13 goals in 26 games at the Flames. His dip in shooting percentage has bounced back the other way. There is a reply saying it was a bad trade for the Canucks. They dealt a player with a similar skill set that they're desperately lacking for a player who plays similar to 3-4 guys they already have. Their roster would be much more complete had they dealt Michkov and brought back a Toffoli or a Guentzel. Grady then replies once more saying, "I'll reserve judgment until the playoffs, which is when Lindholm's impact is supposed to shine." Kuzmenko is still on a weaker team playing meaningless games right now. Still interesting to track though. Michkov was going to be really tough to move. I still think they needed more help, though. And this is one of the things, too, that I thought Canucks fans were pondering for a moment, especially during the trade deadline period, where you see Tyler Toffoli get moved for such a small price. Like, the price the Canucks paid for Lindholm, you could have gotten 2 Toffolis with that price. So, was it a masterclass work in asset management and striking while the iron is hot at the right time? Probably not, with hindsight included. But it's difficult to think about things with hindsight, right? Hindsight Harrys are never easy to deal with. Furthermore, I wanted to bring up some comments made on the Canucks sub. They posted the video yesterday, barely in college did, of Andrei Kuzmenko's hat trick against the Ducks. One of the comments goes out there and says this: "I can't really blame the Canucks for making the trade at the time, but it absolutely sucks that Kuzmenko's not doing this with us. Tough pill to swallow when the more responsible upgrade we got for him has 9 points and is a -7. I still have doubts, which I expressed before the trade, over whether he was so egregiously bad that he was the one guy who needed to be healthy scratched multiple times. I'm glad he has found his confidence back in Calgary." Another reply says, "I know plus-minus is not the best indicator, but he is a -10 in Calgary. Most of his goals have come on the power play, an area he wasn't scoring in Vancouver. Safe to say we could use him on the power play right now, but at the end of the day, I think he needed to change of scenery, and he wasn't going to be as effective here as he was in Calgary. But hey, if Lindholm ends up being a major contributor and the Canucks make a long playoff run, this won't be a miss of a trade." Another reply says, "Hey, it's okay to simply call this a bad move from the front office, which it totally is. Yeah, I don't know why people are so weird about this. The front office has had an amazing year. However, outside of Lindholm having an amazing playoffs, this trade will end up being giving up a lot for a nominal third-line center." Exactly. A top 6 winger, a first-rounder, and a borderline blue-chip prospect in Hunter Brzustevich, that's turning out to be a massive overpayment for half a season of Lindholm. The Zadorov acquisition, though, has been a slam dunk. Now, if you wanted to combine those two trades, it looks a lot better. Like, oh, the Canucks gave up this for Zadorov and this for Lindholm, and if you add it together, it doesn't look that bad, but still, this Elias Lindholm trade and what the Calgary Flames are getting out of Kuzmenko is so lopsided that I don't really feel the same security now than I did when the trade was initially made. And I made the videos saying that it was good, and we talked about it in the comments, and we all had this sort of idea saying, yeah, Lindholm was the guy they needed, but he's been underwhelming. So, if Lindholm wants to save face in this respect, which, you know, I'm not saying that he's going to do that because he wants to be seen as a positive trade chip, but if he wants to really get the most out of his time here in Vancouver, he's got to step up. He's got to be that shutdown center. He's got to be a really good two-way versatile player in the playoffs and help shut down opposing teams' top lines. That's what's going to make this trade a win. If the Canucks make the third round and Elias Lindholm scores the Game 6 winner in overtime in the second round and the Canucks are able to go further beyond because of that. Like, if Lindholm is able to get some big goals here and there, then it doesn't matter what the Canucks gave up for him. If the Canucks are able to win the Stanley Cup because Elias Lindholm gets a Game 7 double overtime winner in the finals, and that trade doesn't mean anything anymore. So, it's all about perspective, right? But for now, heading into the postseason, Lindholm has been underwhelming, Kuzmenko has been awesome, and I think at this point the trade is skewing a lot more on the Calgary Flames win side than the Canucks. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this being a bad move, a mistake of a trade at the moment, and what can Elias Lindholm do to fix it up, because right now, yeah, it's not looking good. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.